back to the James Rich Show. It's nice to have you again. Just check what we're on. We were tweeting about today. Quite a lot has gone on today. Quite a lot to talk about. I wanted to focus today's show on Chelsea because the last few shows I've been talking about Man United. I've been speaking about Arsenal, but I wanted to speak today about Chelsea. Chelsea have been quite busy today in signing a few new players, being linked. Maybe it's just nonsense again. Maybe it's just fake news. We'll have to wait and see. I've changed my hat just for the Yorkshire Shagger. We never succumb to internet trolls like the Yorkshire Shagger. So we put on a different hat that I'm sure probably enjoys this one. So let's get started. What did I want to cover first? If you checked our tweet, what we're talking about tonight, I'm going to start off with Chelsea news. Actually, Chelsea have apparently about to bid, or they're entering negotiations with the Sevilla centre back Jules Koundé, who's actually I've seen a few highlights of him today on YouTube and Twitter. He's a strange centre back. He's very quick, and he can play defensive midfield. So he's going to be like a utility man for Chelsea in that regard. Because Chelsea have got good centre backs as it is. They've got, if you count him, you're going to count. I would count him. Azpilicueta, got Rudiger, Christensen, Kurt Zouma, and they've even got Thiago Silva. I know he's old, but he still had a good season last season. And if they get Koundé in, they're going to have another good centre-back. Evening all. Yes, evening. Evening to you, Kemi Taiba. I'm glad you're back. Nice to see you again, Kemi Taiba. Hopefully we'll have a nice evening tonight talking about Chelsea. I also have to cover Man United again because of the Varane news, if anyone's caught up with that. Varane has gone to Manchester United. It's basically official. They announced it on the official Man United Twitter account that Varane's deal is done. It's just something to do with the passing a medical. There's basically 99.99999% done. So we want to talk about that. We were talking about in the few streams before, we were talking about how Varane would be a good signing, and I still think that. I think he's a great signing, but listening to a lot of people on Twitter or listening to the radio, a lot of people are writing Varane off. I don't know why. But we'll go back to that. I want to start with Chelsea. Jules Koundé, centre half. Fred's back. New hat today. Yes, I've got a new hat today. It's not as stylish as the other one, but it's comfortable. So what did I want to start with? Jules Koundé, centre back, Chelsea, and there's a bid, I think, of about 35 million. It's quite strange as well because I don't know if you followed with Sevilla. I mean, if Barcelona and Real Madrid are in complete disarray, don't like your hat. Okay, well, we all can't like everything, So with Real Madrid and Barcelona in disarray, you'd think Sevilla would want to keep their key players. Obviously, it's hard to keep a player that wants to go to a bigger club. No offense to Sevilla, he wants to go to Chelsea, but they've already sold their promising winger Brian Gill. Brian Gill, the left midfielder, he's only 20. He went to Spurs the other day for 30 something million. And it looks like they're going to sell Koundé to Chelsea. Now they're selling their best two players. It's not good, especially when Barcelona are selling and Real Madrid are selling. I think Atletico Madrid are going to win that league again this season because they look good. Well, here we go. So, Ake 4, here we go again. Yeah, here we go again. Today, as we said, it's Chelsea. Fred, I like it. I assume you're talking about the hat. Yeah, I like my hat. It's a great hat. I'm a bit of a hat aficionado. Someone said to me today on Twitter, I can't remember what I said. I said something, and obviously there's a picture of me wearing my hat. And he goes, did he say? He said something like, oh, that hat looks like a wheelbarrow, which doesn't make any sense. And then you wear that hat to cover your brain. I was like, don't all hats cover brains? Technically, right? You put it on your head. So what we're saying, this James Show. Evening, Koundé is pacey, but don't know much about him. Yeah, no, he's very pacey. He's a good player. I've watched him. I can't say I know much about him, but he's got a good touch. He looks like a good player. And a lot of the other rival fans I mean, I was watching Goldbridge's stream earlier. He was saying he would have liked him at United, but they've got Varane. What else are we saying here? 170 million for Haaland. Yeah, I saw that interview earlier with Haaland. I mean, who's got 175 million? Who can pay that? There's only a handful of clubs that could have got 175 million. Man City, obviously. I mean, it's them three, isn't it? Them three clubs that have ruined football, and maybe Man United, because they're a bunch of wallies with cash on it. But it's them three clubs that have just ruined football: Man City, Chelsea, PSG. Not ruined football, but you know they're just they've got a lot. They got as much money as you want. You know, they're the only three that could afford Haaland. I think at 175 million. I mean, that's crazy money, 175 million. And I don't know if it's true or not. I mean, I see on Twitter, we've talked about this last time, that next year apparently has a release clause of 75 million. I don't know how this works. But yes, I wanted to speak about Haaland, and the other player I wanted to speak about, because I wanted to concentrate mainly on Chelsea tonight. I mean, I'm going to speak about other stuff. Jack Grealish, I want to get onto. I want to get onto young players a lot. The young players that are going to have breakthrough seasons. Maybe see what you guys think. And I wanted to speak about Mbappe because no one's really speaking about Mbappe. He's only got 1 year left on his contract, and really want to stay there because you know he's been there for a while now. He's been there 3-4 years, so he needs to move on to the bigger clubs. Normally, he would have went to Real Madrid or Barcelona, but he's going to come to the Premier League. You know, what else can he do? Now, where are we going? We're back on my hat. He will go. 175 million for Haaland. He will go. Fred. Yeah, I mean, if they say to Borussia Dortmund, here's 175 million, Haaland's going to be driven to the airport and he's going to be taken to whoever's going to give him the 175 million. I mean, 175 million. I think the record is Neymar, isn't it? 200 million. And this number two, I think, is Mbappe. If you put it like that, actually, 175 million for one of the brightest young talents in Europe, it's about normal, right? Neymar was 200, Mbappe was 180, Haaland's about 175 or around that figure. Kane's 160. Haaland's worth more than Kane, I would say. Kane's the better striker at the moment. I think Haaland will be, in the future, will be the better striker. I mean, maybe not the better striker, but he'll be one of the best in the world. So there's still talks of Kane for 150 million plus. But who can buy him, Fred? I mean, Chelsea can. Chelsea need him. They don't want to mess about buying rubbish or subpar strikers. They just need someone like Haaland who they can get in. And he's going to get them 30 goals plus a season. Harry Kane or Haaland. These are the two that is either going to go to Man City or Chelsea. No one else can afford them. PSG obviously could, but they're not going to go there. They're not going to go. Haaland and Harry Kane are not going to go to Paris Saint-Germain. I mean, they could, but that would be a terrible mistake. It would be like when Neymar went to Paris Saint-Germain. He just went into, irrelevance. Should have stayed at Barcelona. I mean, I think Neymar might leave eventually. Now, we're back onto my hat. Hat is cool. Yeah, the hat is cool. Especially in the summertime. It's practical. It keeps yourself, especially with my hair, keeps me head so it doesn't get burned. And it keeps me, in the shade. It's a great little hat for the summertime. Don't know about the winter time. It's more practical than stylish. Hat is cool. Hat makes you look like a gardener, lol. Yeah, no, it's a fisherman's hat. What do you mean a gardener? It makes me look like a fisherman. This is what you would go when you're out fishing. A gardener. A gardening hat. It's a fisherman's hat. Chelsea, long time ago, they spending serious money on players. Early 2000. What do you mean serious money on players? Where were you last summer, Fred? I mean, they spent a fortune last summer. They gave Lampard a fortune. What are you on about? That must have been their most expensive transfer window ever. And I know what you're talking about. You think when they brought in all those players, like Glenn Johnson and did they bring in all in that one window? Joe Cole. I mean, back then it was a lot because, a £20 million player back then was a lot of money. You could get a world-class striker for 25 million. But nowadays, to get someone who's world class, and they've got a proper contract, it's you're not going to get them for less than no less than 50, 60 million nowadays. Unless it's, Varane. Varane is went to United, but he's only got 1 year left on his contract, so that's why he was 40 odd million, 41 million. That's why he was so cheap. He's probably, I heard someone say earlier, he's probably the most accomplished player to move to the Premier League. What do you think about that? There's a good question. Tell me in the chat. Varane is probably the most accomplished player to ever move to the Premier League. Maybe the other guy you could say was Bastian Schweinsteiger. He's quite similar. He's won the Champions. He's not won the Champions League as much as Varane. They've both won the World Cup. Schweinsteiger obviously failed. That didn't work. That's the only thing that's the problem with Man United with Varane. But you have to give it to the United fans. They should be happy with Varane. Let's see what we're saying here then. Chelsea, yeah, obviously the groundsman. I assume you're talking about my hat still. Mbappe to Liverpool, mate. Well, yeah, that would be a great move. Mbappe and a great move for Liverpool. But it's very quiet on Mbappe. He doesn't want to sign. I want to get onto that later. I'm talking about Chelsea at the moment, so we'll get onto Mbappe later on in the show. I think it's probably him and Haaland are the best two young players in the world. Perhaps, but I wanted to get on to young players as well, so we'll get on to Mbappe later on. Haaland only 21, yeah, it's crazy. How old is Mbappe? I think he's only 21, no? Haaland, I think Mbappe's only 21, and then Foden's only 21, Greenwood. We're going to talk about these players later. Liverpool FC 0-1. Chelsea only came on the map when Abramovich bought the club. Before that, they were an average shit club, yeah? I mean, he or she is talking sense there, Liverpool 0-1. Talking sense. I mean, they weren't an average shit club. They were all right. They're a bit like Spurs, I'd say now, They might beat the big teams every now and then, but they're never going to really do anything. But Abramovich has just transformed that club, Chelsea, into the team that they are. But they have got a winning mentality. I have to give them that. Abramovich, he's not loyal at all to any of his managers, is he? Mourinho, who's a club legend, winning them anything. Winning them the league, winning them... No, he didn't win the Champions League, but winning them the FA Cup. He's sacked twice. Frank Lampard, club legend, didn't give him. They gave him what, from August to about January with the squad that he bought. That's the problem. I mean, it's doing them well actually. Chelsea, it's doing them very well to be this ruthless because they get results. And Chelsea do come onto the scene, and they just go on and win. Like they'll just win the league. They don't come. I can't really think of Chelsea coming second in the league. In a two-horse race. I can't remember the last time. If Chelsea aren't in the race to win the league, I can't remember the last time Chelsea didn't win it. Maybe you guys will know in the chat. Haaland could go to City, but who will he replace? I assume you mean replace. Well, he'd replace Aguero, wouldn't he? Obviously, because they're in the market for a striker. That's what Kane must be worried about, because you can tell Kane probably wants the move, but they get Haaland, which I don't know. Who would I rather get, Haaland or Kane? It's a difficult one. What would you guys rather have for Man City, Haaland or Kane? I mean, if they get Haaland, Kane's not going to go to Man City, but I can see, as I said, there's only 3 teams that can afford him. 2 teams. So it will be Chelsea. One of them's going to go to Chelsea, and one of them's going to go to Man City. And I think Kane will go to Man City, and Haaland will go to Chelsea. That's how I think it's going to happen. But it could happen the other way around. Haaland could go to Man City, and Kane could go to Chelsea. But if Kane hasn't got time. I mean, I am very optimistic about Chelsea. But Kane hasn't got the time to go to a club like Chelsea, because Chelsea might not do well. Tuchel might not do well. He could be sacked by January. Then Kane's stuck at Chelsea. Kane will want the Man City move. Losing the last, 7 years, he wants to win, doesn't he? He wants to win. So he wants to go to Man City, and he needs to push the move. All right, what else are we saying here then, guys? Chelsea never been a shit club. Yeah, no, I don't think they've been a shit club. I just think Liverpool FC 0-1's got a bit of resentment on their chest about Chelsea. But you probably agree with me. It's just that Chelsea were the original Man City and PSG. It's just one person or a state has came in and just they don't need to make money. It's just like it makes it boring, you know. There's no what Liverpool and Manchester United or even the Leeds or the bigger clubs, what they've won over the years, that it's took them 125 years, whereas Man City, Chelsea, and PSG have just got it instantly, you know. They don't have to work for anything, they just get what they want instantly. Whereas Liverpool, Man United, Arsenal have built their clubs over the time, and that's why they'll always be bigger clubs. No offence to you Man City and Chelsea fans, but them three are the biggest three in England by a country mile. Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal. They're your three big clubs. You know, two of them have been in disarray for quite a while, Manchester United and Arsenal. Liverpool were in disarray for a long time until Klopp got there. But Man City and Chelsea have been winning a lot, haven't they? At the big three clubs' expense. What about Jason Knight? Got absolutely battered by a Rooney tackle in training, and now he's out for 12 weeks. What's Rooney doing? Yeah, it was brilliant. Rooney's had a tough week, hasn't he? I don't know if you saw the pictures on Snapchat of him asleep in the chair with some. It was in a hotel. I can't remember what it was. It was nothing bad, but. He's like making legal actions against the people that put them on social media. I don't know how that works. I mean, I don't really want to get into that. But Rooney's had a terrible week. And then I saw his interview where he was whinging to Sky about, I've not got enough players. And then he's just absolutely crunched one of his players. I mean, I bet you Rooney's still an intense trainer. Does he play still? Because I remember from last time, Kemi Tyber's a Derby fan. Is he a player manager, or he's not going to be registered to play? Because as I said last time, he could still play. You know, he's the same age as Ronaldo, and he still looks pretty fit, and he's still got the quality. So does he play? Might have to play. He might have to play centre half himself. But he was never very good. I mean, you tell me, Kemi Tyber, did he ever do anything for Derby? Wayne Rooney, because his career really did go bad at the end, didn't it, you know? At Man United, when he wasn't getting in, I mean, he was one of the best Premier League strikers. I mean, if you don't agree with that, you're a moron. One of the best Premier League strikers ever. But then when he got to 30, 31, 32, his career just nosedived. And then he went to Everton, and Everton, he didn't do anything at Everton. You know, nobody ever does anything at Everton. Want Everton to, they're useless. And then he went to Derby, which is like, I mean, he must have went to Derby because he wanted to be a manager or something, obviously. But it's still like, I thought he could do better than Derby. No offence to Derby, Kemi Tyber. Lampard, he must be Lampard, Frank Lampard, was a mistake. Why they made him manager? Were they desperate or something? I don't know if you watched my last stream. But I was talking about this last time. There's a new trend, isn't there, in the last 10 years of big clubs all appointing ex-legends players as their managers rather than big managerial names. And I think that's why he got the job. He's doing okay at Derby. I mean, I'd like to see him come back into management. He seems like quite a clever guy. He seems like I think he bought really well, them Chelsea players, but it's always hard to make them all into, you know, get all them players in one window and then mould them into the team in 6 months. It's never going to happen. You need to have time, and that's the thing at Chelsea. There has never been time at Chelsea. As I said earlier, that sort has been a positive for him. You know? He's so ruthless, Roman Abramovich. You're not winning, you're out. Next guy in. He's got all the money, and then it's a top job, isn't it, Chelsea? I mean, I can't remember many seasons they're not in the Champions League. I mean, Frank Lampard gets sacked. Tuchel takes the job after getting sacked from PSG. He's still got a run in the knockout stages of the Champions League, you know? So, Chelsea is one of them. It's a ruthless club. Replace. Kane would not be a good fit for Chelsea. What do you mean by that? I mean, how is someone putting the ball in the goal 25 times a year plus not a good fit for Chelsea? It's a good fit for any team. Sebulously. Think City want an English front three. Kane, Grealish and Sterling. Maybe, but I mean, are they going to get rid of like Bernardo Silva? I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work with Man City. Maybe there's some players that are going to go. Because Sterling doesn't always play, does he? Bernardo always plays. Kevin De Bruyne obviously is always going to play. You got Foden as well. How many attacking players are you going to have in this team? I think if Grealish goes, Sterling won't play. There'll be some players that won't play. But we'll get on to Grealish and Kane at Man City later after I've read a few more of these comments. He's retired from playing now. You must be talking about Rooney. I think I asked you guys the question. Retired from playing because I was saying he's a player manager. Yeah, I thought he would be. I mean, player managers are such weird. It's such a weird thing. I remember Edgar Davids was a player manager at Barnet, and that was weird. But 43. It's very strange. Like, how can you manage a team whilst you're playing? It doesn't really. The only person that could do it is probably the goalkeeper. The rest of the player, if you're an outfield player, how can you be a manager and play? It doesn't. No, never work. I wonder if there's ever been a successful. If anyone's ever won, like a Premier League or one of the elite leagues or a Champions League, being a player manager. I don't think so. Maybe back in the early days, not Premier, the Division 1. Back in the early days where the player was the manager, like in the 19th century. But I can't imagine recently player manager has ever won anything. It doesn't make any sense. The main problem with City and Chelsea are they don't decline over a long period of time, like Arsenal, United, or Liverpool. They'll sort out their problems within the same year. No drama, no banter. Can't really a robot do it? I imagine you're saying it's like a robot doing their job, yes. Yeah, it is. I agree with most of that. All of that, to be fair. Sometimes Chelsea can go through a rocky phase, but Man City have never, ever went through a rocky phase. Maybe they might. Man City did at the start. Took them a while to find their feet, didn't they? Because Mark Hughes was in the right place at the right time. He got all the money at the start and didn't spend very well. He just kept going back to his Blackburn players. Then after that, they got Pellegrini in. Not Pellegrini. Was it Mancini? Yeah, it was Mancini first who replaced him. He bought some strange players. They got rid of him, but he still bought some great players. And then they got Pellegrini, who done really well. Who was probably an underrated manager, I'd say. Really good manager, Pellegrini. I don't know who he manages now. He's probably back in Argentina or in Spain. And then they got in Pep, one of the best managers. He's probably the best manager in the world, isn't he? So Pep, if they keep Pep, and I don't know how long Pep will stay there for, but Pep doesn't stay at clubs for long. Where else could Pep go? If he leaves Man City, where will he go? Because I'm going to go back to Barca and Spain, because that looks like it's in terminal decline, Spanish football. And they won't be able to afford his wages. I think he's the highest paid person at Man City, Guardiola. He's paid more than the players. Where else could he go? He's been to Bayern. Go to Italy, maybe, but I don't think he'll go to Juventus. Well, I think, he'll stay for Man City for quite a while. England is the place you want to be in football at the moment. All of these young players, we're talking about Haaland, Mbappe, or Amaviga over in for Lille. These players are going to go to England. They're not going to go anywhere else. Only place they can go. No one else can afford them. And, why would you want to go to maybe Bayern Munich could buy some of these players because they've got the money and they've got the quality, the quality to win the Champions League. Or PSG may get some French players, maybe, but most of them, 80%, are going to England. It's good for English football. It's good for the Premier League. Hopefully, we'll get all of the best young players in the world. So what we're saying now, can't really enjoy a robot doing their job. Lol. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I think it's like very robotic, and it's expected for Man City to win. I remember a few years ago they got the treble, the domestic treble. I think they got the domestic treble, and it was quite. No one cares. When Man United won the treble in 1999, everyone goes on about it. But it's just well done. You spent £1 billion on players and you won the treble. Well, obviously, you're going to. Not like an accomplishment. But it is in a way, because, Chelsea have spent a fortune. They've never won the treble. Why is that a problem, Seb? It's not a problem. It's just boring, isn't it? Not boring, but it's like, what's the point? It's a bit nihilistic, That's what I think. Maybe Rooney will have to play out a necessity, though. Yeah, well, they ain't got enough players, have they? They haven't got enough players. So he's going to have to play centre half, get him in at centre half, sign him up. And he doesn't. I thought Rooney, when he would retire, I thought he would put on a load of weight. But he's kept himself fit, I reckon. And he's obviously training hard every day, breaking it, like injuring his players. I don't know what's wrong with the guy, but it was a tackle, wasn't it, with that player? He's injured his player, so he must be intense in training. So yeah, sign him up, get him in. Get him in. So, next one, where are we? James. Kane will not do well at Chelsea. Wrong team for him. Nah, Kane will do well anywhere. I think delusional, Fred. He's a goal scorer, isn't he? And, I mean, you're a Chelsea fan. Are you serious? If Chelsea signed Kane, you wouldn't be happy? I think be the only Chelsea fan that would say that. Why would you not want Kane? Who would you want? Haaland, maybe, perhaps. But if you did get Kane, I don't think you wouldn't be. I think you'd still be very happy. Rooney is 35. How can he be a manager? Why does his age be? He's 36, but why can't you be a manager at 36? Be a manager at 22 if you want. You know, why does it matter about your age? None of it makes any sense. Can't. I imagine you're talking about Derby. All right. Don't think he's talking about Fred. Why is that a problem? Don't think it's a problem. Just think it's too easy for them. Can't take the piss out of the club. They just sort out their problems too easily. It's like having a get out of jail free card. You know, the clubs won't have a bad season. Yeah, it'd just be like, I don't know, just be like, it would be like how they have it. It's just they've got an unlimited amount of money, you know? No fight for anything. It's like, just get whatever you want whenever you want it. So, you know, wasn't Pep like 36? Yeah, I mean, I don't know why Rooney being 35, 36, don't know, that's not really, who cares how old he is. But he's the manager of Derby. Derby are in trouble. And he's still, I think someone said he's on a few quid. He's on like 2.5 million a year or something. So, you know, I mean, he's not going to work for cheap, is he, Wayne? He's Wayne Rooney, but I mean, he must want to be, he is the manager, but he must really want a managerial career. I think, I mean, out of all that generation of English players, the most promising manager at the moment, easily be Steven Gerrard, right? He must be most easily, most promising, you know, young managers out there, especially an English manager. For whatever reason, English manager not very good. All right, so I wanted to get on to Man City because someone mentioned Grealish, Sterling, and Kane, and today Grealish has been heavily linked with Man City. Apparently, he's going to go. I mean, that's the thing. It's not like I don't know how the negotiations work with Man City, but they don't take long, do they? How much do you want for him? I mean, how much is Grealish worth? Today's market with Man City buying him, he's probably 100 million. £100 million player. I mean, I don't think he's a £100 million player, but he had a good season at Villa. You know, he features for England. He's a quality player, but I don't know why they need him. They've got Foden. It's a bit like, I mean, I can see why Man United bought Sancho. It's like you got Greenwood. Like, buy like a proper striker. Like they should have got like Haaland instead of Sancho. They don't really need Sancho. He's going to improve them, of course, Sancho. But it's like, he's just going to take up Greenwood's position. Because for whatever reason, all the Man United fans always say Cavani has to play. And I've never rated Cavani. He's always had 4 shots for 1 goal. He ain't clinical. But let's get back to Man City, because you can go off on a tangent. But yeah, Man City, Grealish is a £100 million player. And all of what needs to happen is Jack Grealish to say to Villa, I want to go. And Villa will go. I think Villa knew, because that's why they've signed that Buendia and were bidding for Emile Smith-Rowe. I think they knew they couldn't keep hold of him. He's been there years. I mean, how old is he? He's like 25, isn't he? 26. Jack Grealish. He's not 20, 21. He's not really young. I think he's 24, 25, 26, something like that. So he's been there years. He made it at like 17, 18 at Villa. He's done more than enough time at Villa. They must have known at some point he's not going to stay at Villa. And Man City are going to buy him for 100 mil. I don't. Is it a good buy? I mean, he'll be a good player, but there's a lot of English talent at the moment. For Man City to have Sterling, Kane, and Grealish, good for England, right? And then you've got Man United that have got Sancho, Greenwood, and Rashford. Plenty of options for Gareth Southgate. Bring communities together. Bring Manchester United and Man City together. All right, so the other player that I want to talk about Man City was Harry Kane, of course. And I think that's a done deal. That's happening. But I don't get why clubs, I mean, Man United have done well this time, you know. They just signed Varane and Sancho. Get them in early, get them in pre-season, you know, get them into the squad. Why wait until the last day to sign him when the season's already started? You know, why? Just if you know you want a marquee signing like that, just go out and sign them straight away like Man United have done. But don't, I mean, I think Man City will. They don't normally mess around. It'll probably be done this week or next week. Either Kane or Grealish. Definitely it will be done. So I think Harry Kane will be done. I think it will be like maybe 100 and there'll be some sort of compromise. And I can see one of the Man City players going to Spurs. Might be Jesus, to be fair. And that would be quite good for everyone involved, except Jesus, obviously. But Jesus would get game time at Spurs. He's a quality player. So, you know, he might get 20 goals a season at Spurs. For Spurs fans, let's be honest, who's going to replace Kane when he goes? Because he's going, it's only a matter of time until he's going. He doesn't go this summer, he'll go next summer. Well, I mean, Spurs not going to win anything. And he ain't got time to wait anymore, has he, Harry Kane? He hasn't got time to wait, mess about, but come in, you know, putting the pressure on. So all is what he's doing is putting the pressure on. Come in second in everything, you know. He ain't got time, so he's going to go to Man City. That's a done deal. But I think the Spurs will get a lot of money out of him because they're always good at selling their big players, and they get a lot of money out of them. And I think they'll be clever to get a player off Man City out of it. You know? And maybe the same for Villa. I mean, obviously, be a lower standard of player at Man City that would go to Villa. But Spurs could get most of the fringe players, I think. Whether the fringe players would be happy to go to Spurs is another question. But I think a few of the players, as I say, Jesus would be an excellent replacement for Kane. I mean, but whether they could do it or not, I don't know. What are we saying? I'm not sure we'll see such high prices like this year. Discount 25%. It's just going to get higher and higher and higher, no? The prices, I mean, as I said, Neymar is the one that's got the record, 200 million. But I mean, it's only a matter of time until a footballer will go for $1 billion. I mean, it might be decades away. But to think, I mean, I don't know how old some of our streamers are, but if you were born who's the first £1 million player? I always thought it was Trevor Francis, but someone told me it was Alan Shearer to Blackburn. If anyone knows in the chat. But to think when that went through, that was an obscene amount of money, right? £1 million for a player to go to a club. Now it's 200 times that price. So, you know, it's only going to get more and more and more. I mean, it's got people who think, oh, it's cheaper because of coronavirus discount. No, the clubs haven't got the money. The clubs have got loads of money. They make all the money from the TV rights now, don't they? I mean, obviously it's probably hurting them that the fans are not in the stadium, but they're making the money from the TV and the sponsorship. That's how they're getting the money. And as long as the football's on, you know, they cancelled the football right at the start of COVID, but they figured out a way how to get it back on, didn't they? As long as they're playing, they're making. If they don't play, if they cancel it, I mean, it's never going to happen now. If they just cancelled the football indefinitely because of the COVID situation, then they'd have troubles. But they're playing, aren't they? You know, and they're still getting all the money from the TV contracts. I mean, it's only a matter of time until Amazon go and get the contract for everything. We'll probably speak about that some other time. Some other things I want to get onto. I wanted to talk about the young players. Let me just go quickly back to some of the comments. Good signings for United, yeah, which is strange. You can't say that every year, do you? You don't say for United, good signings for United. You normally say, what are they doing? Jesus and Son. Oh, I think you mean Jesus and Son. Must mean when I was talking about Jesus. Yeah, I mean that would be good, but whether that's the problem Spurs have got though. If Kane leaves, other some of their other great players might leave. Like Son, and he might only stay for a year and then he leaves. All the Premier League teams would want him. He's a goal scorer, isn't he? And he's so dangerous. Imagine he's a great trainer. He's got a good attitude. He seems like a good lad, Heung-min Son. So will he stay at Spurs? Probably not. He's been there. He's been there a while, hasn't he? Winning nothing. County tie depends on the clubs. Clubs need to sell. I think you might be talking about the money thing. What did Kemi Tiber say? None of it makes any sense. I can't remember. Oh, the high prices thing. I think that's what you're talking about. But they're all a bunch of wallies. We count for cash on the air. First £1 million player was Trevor Francis in. Yeah, I thought it was. I was arguing with someone in the pub. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but you're at a computer, so you probably Googled it. Was Trevor Francis for 1979 from Birmingham to Notts? Yes, I thought it was, and they was told me it was Alan Shearer. It's like, no, it wasn't. It was Cloughy, wasn't it? It was Cloughy that signed him. And I remember that, and he was like, no, I should have bet him. Why did I not bet him? Derby sold Mark Wright and Dean Saunders, my favourite, to Liverpool for £5 million back in '91. That was a record-breaking deal at the time. Exactly, that's what I was saying. 1991, £5 million. That's a lot of money. Probably, I mean, it still is a lot of money. I wouldn't mind. But money now is obscene, and I don't think any of us know how it works. It's not like when they say, oh, it's 100 million Jack Grealish, as if it goes from one bank account into another 100 million. You get the Aston Villa getting an update on their phone saying 100 million has been deposited into your account. I don't think it works like that. I think maybe it's all on. There's all asterisks to everything. That's the thing. It's 100 million. I mean, but it's over a certain amount of time, and it's probably all borrowed money. It's stuff like this. It's all debt. It's all finance. The professionals put all this together, and then they know what they're doing, and they're probably making a fortune out of it as well. So much money in football, it's ridiculous. Yeah, the great old manager at Notts, Cloughy. Yeah, that it was Cloughy then that bought Trevor Francis, and I knew that was right. I'll have to let the person know. Didn't Shearer go for like 15 million, world record at the time? Yeah, he did, didn't he? He went, because Blackburn had a lot of money. Yeah, Blackburn had a lot of money. At that time, I can't remember. This Blackburn were like the original Chelsea, Man City. They had a lot of money. They splashed a lot of cash, and they did win the league. Kenny Dalglish won it, didn't he? I mean, that is such an anomaly. If you look at the Premier League winners, all of them in a list, and you see Blackburn, it's such an anomaly compared to the other clubs. But 15 million at the time, that must have been crazy money as well. 15 million for Alan Shearer. I mean, it was worth every penny. He got you the goals, but I would say Alan Shearer 15 million is equivalent today of Harry Kane 150. I know, both because context is key here. The 150 million for Kane, a lot of money, but back then 15 million was a lot of money. So what else are we saying? Look at Barca though; they have a salary cap to abide to now. Messi taking a 50% pay cut, but they still haven't signed him. Anyone know if they've sold any players yet? Yeah, no, I don't think they have sold any players yet. But I mean, we were speaking about this last time, weren't we, on the stream? About Barca's tragic financial situation, and in a month's time they've got to come up with a load of money. I think that will kick off at the end of the month. I mean, we are at the end of the month, but maybe in about 2 weeks. I think in about 2 weeks, just before the start of the season, and definitely, I assume the Spanish transfer window shuts at the same time the English, which is normally on September 1st. There'll be a scramble then. They're messing about, they're probably having a siesta, aren't they? Spanish are not like, they don't get up and go. And especially this Barcelona team, ain't got a clue. Not the team, sorry, the board and the management. They've made some of the worst decisions in the history of boardrooms. And what could happen to Barcelona? We don't want to see Barcelona fall apart. We want them to turn it around, but they have to sell players. Griezmann still linked out. We've talked about Barcelona. What are we saying here? Maybe 100% payment from City. Yeah, probably from City. Villa. Villa will just get like like a message on your phone, or 100 million transferred into your account. Barca will end up being bought by some American hedge fund. How though? Because the players is Barcelona's like you've got like members. They have members, and I think they're owned by the fans. I don't really know, but you're probably right. There will be some sort of 11th hour deal where, but there'll be riots if they do that, because that's like, it's like any football club. It's owned by the fans. There'll be riots in Barcelona if they were like, listen, the only way you can keep all your players, keep everything afloat, is if you sell it to some American idiot that doesn't care. I don't think Barcelona fans and even some of the players, I don't think they will like that at all. Yeah, I think they might be, they wouldn't be happy about it. But I mean, I was looking at today the players that are out of contract. Barcelona have got two excellent young players. They've got the Pedri and they've got Fati, both the one's attacking midfielder and one's a striker. Both of them are out of contract next season. So, let's see if anyone's going to move for them to. Because whether they want to stick around there as such young players, they need to maybe they're coming to England. That's what brings me back to the young players. Ansu Fati and Pedri, they're both only 18, they're both very talented players. I mean, Man City, another good destination. I mean, who's better? I do rate Jack Grealish, but who would you rather have in your team? Pedri, 18, or does anyone know how old Jack Grealish is? I think he's about 25. Who would you rather have, Pedri or Jack Grealish? I'd rather have Pedri. Because Grealish is good, but Pedri's going to come cheap as well. Going to get him at a good price, and he looks like to be one of the best young players in the world. The other player that's 18-year-old is that what I was speaking about earlier. This is the Camavinga. He's out of contract next year. There's a lot of players, and I don't get why clubs do this. There's a lot of players that allow these players, not a lot of players, there's a lot of clubs that allow these players run down their contracts for the last year, and then they're basically held hostage. Because like Varane was like, I want to go, and Real Madrid have to sell him, because if they don't sell him, they're going to miss out on 45 million. It's a lot of money for them at the moment, especially in the scenarios that they're in, their financial issues as well. And they've got Alaba, haven't they, to sort of replace him. They've got rid of Ramos and Varane. I mean, Ramos is not a young player, but Pogba's out of contract as well, so he's going to hold Man United hostage. But maybe Pogba must be thinking, oh, Man United are doing something this window. They're doing something, maybe I'll stay. But these young players, you've got Ansu Fati, you've got Pedri at Barca, surely some clubs must be looking at them and thinking, why are clubs not circling around Barca and picking up all of their quality players, They still have a lot of quality players. Just pick them up. You get them all cheap. I bet you one club will. One club is just going to pick up all of them. And it wouldn't surprise me if it's Atletico Madrid. They seem quite smart. What are we saying here? We started a Bitcoin team entirely funded by crypto 10 years ago, then we'd probably be looking at winning the Champions League in the next couple of years. But yeah, it's probably a bit like Man City, isn't it? Take away Bitcoin. But Man City was basically funded 10 years ago, and they'll be favourites to win the Champions League by a mile this year. So it was like Man City. Bitcoin's obviously made a lot of money as well. But yeah, I mean, it wouldn't. I think you could buy. I mean, look at Leipzig as well. I don't really know too much about that. That's a bit of a sketchy football club. That's a brand new club. It's less than 20 years old. They're already in the Champions League from that Red Bull money. So I think it would take you, if you were a seriously rich person and you had a lot of money and you wanted to get a club to, definitely play in Champions League football. I think it could take you. It doesn't take that long. I think 10 years it would take you, which sounds long, but it really is not long from where Man City were to where they are now. I mean, I know you'll say, "Oh, Man City won the league in 2012." Yes, but back then, even with Aguero and David Silva and that, they were never ever anywhere near winning the Champions League. They're always poor. At the moment, you'd have to say they're favourites to win the Champions League. Yeah, them or be another English team, Chelsea, Liverpool, maybe, or Bayern or PSG, maybe. But PSG, we've all that they're not going to win. All right. Grealish. Jack is 25. Grealish is special though. Yeah, but so is Pedri. Also think of brand. Grealish could be a big name. Markets, mate. Lol. True. Because he's English. That's why. He's an English player, isn't he, Jack Grealish? And it's as you say, markets. So he'll sell stuff, won't he, for Nike or Adidas, whatever. And shirts. Yeah, that's the reason. If it was name was Jack Relay, France, yeah, he would still maybe get the move, but he wouldn't. He wouldn't be going for way. True. Barca is so desperate, and everybody knows it, but no one's taking advantage. As I said, I think it'll be Atletico Madrid. Players won't leave Barca. 200k contracts and don't play. Lazy, overpaid, and overrated shite. No one wants to pay for these types of players. I think a lot of people will pay for them. A lot of clubs will pay for the types of players. Griezmann, loads of clubs that will be signing. I mean, as long as he has. I mean, I think someone told me he's on 400,000 a week. As long as he has, as he cuts his wages in half, or by at least 3/4, there's plenty of clubs that will sign Griezmann. Plenty. Especially Premier League clubs. They've all got money, haven't they? They've all got money, Premier League clubs. I know some of them don't want to put their players on too much money to upset the camp. I think some of them would. You know, Spurs are going to have a fortune if they sell Kane. Maybe they could move for Griezmann. What about that for a replacement? Bad. No one else seems to be bothering with Griezmann. But Griezmann will go back to Atletico Madrid. There's other players there, like I said, Pedri, Ansu Fati, Frankie de Jong, goalkeeper, Ter Stegen. Then these people are not on Griezmann silly money. So I think there'll be loads of potential suitors for, say, Frankie de Jong. You know, he's probably on about 100, 150 a week, something like that. Which is quite a lot, but I think, you know, clubs could easily get him. Whereas Griezmann or Messi, no, probably not. But I'm surprised no one else wanted. I mean, did no one even bother to try to get Messi? I mean, the only clubs that could get him is even if he comes on a free to pay his wages is again it's Man City and Chelsea or PSG. Yeah, no one else, or maybe Man United. No one else will get Messi. What are we saying here? Get Rooney in for a training session and make it an insurance write-off. What you mean in the Barcelona? Get Rooney in and he just hacks all the players and they get insurance money. Yeah, no, not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. Tweet that to Wayne. See if he'll be interested. Get him to Barca. Boys class. Griezmann isn't part of that group. He's just the one that will be sacrificed because of others not moving on. Maybe, but Griezmann's been poor, at Barca as well, hasn't he? So he probably wants to get out. I don't really watch Barcelona too much. I've seen him in the Champions League. But he's been quite poor apparently for Barcelona, and it's not been a good time for him at Barcelona, so he needs to leave. But the last little piece I wanted to talk about was Mbappe. Another, obviously, the best, probably. He is the best young player in the world. Been signed again for the cover star for FIFA 22. And he's not happy at PSG. I think PSG was a good move for him. Moved from Monaco to PSG at like 17, I think he went, or 18. Great move. And I don't know how PSG does financial fair play. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense how they do that. I think he went out on loan to and then they paid him for the next year, so they were able to beat this financial fair play thing. But this financial fair play is clearly nonsense. All these clubs, I don't know if Man City go out and buy Grealish and Kane, like how are they going to be able to stick by the rules? They're not. The problem is with financial fair play, they probably just pay fines or they just ban them from transfer, like Chelsea. It doesn't affect any of the big clubs. They don't care. They do what they want. But Mbappe, yeah, he wants to leave PSG. I think he'll probably have a season there. And imagine signing someone for 180 million. I mean, it doesn't matter about PSG, care about the money. But imagine signing someone 180 million and then he leaves on a free. It's like, that's such poor management. I mean, if they were to sell him this summer, but 1 year left on his contract, how much do you think Mbappe's worth? So if Varane's worth 42 million with 1 year left on his contract, Pogba has 1 year left on his contract, has been rumoured for PSG to be around 50 to 60 million. Still say Mbappe's 80, 90 million, wouldn't you? Say he's half price, went for 180, I'd say someone's still going to have to pay 90 million. Whereas if you wait a year, you get him for free. But he'll make, if you paid 90 million for him now, he'll make such a big difference, especially for a club like Liverpool. Liverpool just spent 90 million on him now, instead of being cheap, waiting a year and getting him on a free. They could actually, he's going to boost their side exponentially. He's going to take Liverpool to the next level. He's going to get him plenty of goals. He'll come in at front. I mean, they've always been linked with him, haven't they, Mbappe? And Mbappe must, as I said before, he can only go to England. Where else can he go? Before, he probably thought he was going to go to Real Madrid or Barcelona, right? And so most of us probably thought that. But both teams are potless. Both of them can't afford Mbappe in the near-term future. They're not going to turn these problems round within the next 3-4 years, I don't think. These are problems that they're going to be compounding for a while, and it's probably only going to get worse, because when they're financial problems, it only gets worse. So it's going to take a while for Barca to get back to where they were. What we saying? But I do think Mbappe, he's been quiet. I mean, with the amount of nonsense on Twitter, how has Mbappe's not been linked with anyone? How Man City need a striker, Liverpool need a striker, Chelsea need a striker. He wants out. I mean, obviously PSG don't want to sell him, but when you got a player like that wants out of a club with 1 year left on his contract and he's worth 90 million and he doesn't want to play, you sort of have to sell him. You can't just say, "Oh, you're staying here," because the player doesn't care. The power's all with the player. The player wants to go, you have to sell him, because he can then upset the rest of the team. You need to keep the team together. If the player doesn't want to play, and in a way, if he's like rotten, got to get rid of him, or he might affect the rest of the team. So it'll be interesting to see what Mbappe will do. Griezmann was carrying the team last season. Works hard, needs to go back to Madrid. Carrying the team last season. What do you mean? Barcelona garbage. If with PSG investment, they should have won the Champions League by now. Yeah, I mean, I think so, definitely. I mean, a few times. I mean, the closest they were was when they lost to Bayern. 1-0. Can't remember the score, but I don't think they were close to winning that Champions League final. When is the fishing stream? No fishing stream. Just wear fishing hats. Obviously, PSG need better competition in League One. Yeah, they do. But how? How are they going to get better competition unless someone else, who owns PSG? Is it Qatar? It's Qatar, isn't it? Unless someone else like that, Bahrain or another country buys another team, France, how's it ever going to have any competition? Maybe he goes on a free, big wages, Yeah, but you'd save, even if he's greedy, the only problem with giving him big wages is it might upset the rest of the team. But if you gave him 400,000 a week, say, or 500,000 a week, saving a fortune. He's a £200 million player. Give him 500,000 a week, say a 4-year deal. Watch that, 100 million on wages over 4 years. Half of what you would have paid the initial transfer fee, and his wages were not going to be cheap anyway, even if you bought him. So it's like Aaron Ramsey, isn't it? Aaron Ramsey's on a fortune because he went to Juventus on a free. They get to keep all the money, don't they? Instead of the transfer fee, they go to the players rather than the clubs. You can see a lot of the players are doing this. They've clocked on. I bet it's their agents telling them it. Guarantee you, it'd be their agent saying, you've got to have a lot of value. Just keep your club hostage. No, there's no loyalty in football. No one cares anymore. These players have got such a short window. So, can you blame them? No, to be honest, I don't blame them. Monaco could have been competitive. Don't know about the owner though. Well, he's the Monaco owner is a Russian oligarch. That's it. So he was pouring money in. When they bought James Rodriguez and all of them. It's the only way that PSG get to have competition is if there's another oligarch or Bahrain or some rich man buys them, or woman maybe. That's the only way there's going to be any competition. It ain't going to happen. Could happen, but it's not going to happen. I mean, it would have happened by now. Monaco is, I think Monaco is quite not very good anymore. They used to have maybe quite a good youth academy, but now not really. Yeah, they could. There is money. What do you mean there? Yeah, they could. There is money. In regards to what? What are you talking about, Fred? I think salary caps will come in along with a lot of reforms around financing in a few years. No, I don't think so. I don't think it ever will. I don't think they'll ever. Who could do it? They're too powerful, the clubs at the moment, and the players. And there's so much money in it. I don't think they'll ever do a salary cap. Never, because it will. Not. I mean, maybe because it's arbitrary anyway. The salary cap's arbitrary. Some guy in a boardroom somewhere says, "Well, I think they should be paid only this amount per week," and then his mate goes, "Well, I think they should only be paid." And it's some guys just making this decision. No, it should be up to the employer and the employee how much they get paid, not for some idiots in a boardroom coming up with decisions for what? I don't think that will ever happen. I don't think there'll ever be salary caps or anything like that. Because you don't want it to be controlled. You want it to be a bit wild in a way as well, don't you? Want it to be. I mean, I know it is outrageous, but the reason why there's so much money in football is because it's so popular. You know, if Tiddlywinks was popular, and I was doing the James Rich show on Tiddlywinks, you know, the Tiddlywink world champion would be paid 400,000 a week, right? But we all love football. It's the global game. It's the only true global game, team game, isn't it? Football. And that's why there's so much money in it. It doesn't just come out of thin air, the money, does it? That people are paid in football. I mean, and you know, people whinge about, oh, they play too much. Whilst they go to the stadium paying 50 quid a ticket, buying a £90 t-shirt, you know, spending 50 quid a month on Sky Sports subscription. So what do you expect? What do you expect, you know? So there's plenty of money in football. There's always going to be plenty of money in football, and they'll never do a salary cap. I just can't see it. It's a bit Soviet Union-y. Can't see that happening. What else are we saying here in the chats? I think salary caps said that Musk to buy French Farmers FC. What, Elon Musk? Maybe he could do, but I can't imagine he likes football. I mean, he's South African. I mean, I know South Africans do like football, but people like Elon Musk, he was probably rugby or cricket, but he probably doesn't like that anymore. He's in America now. And now he probably likes American sports. He probably doesn't like soccer, you know? He's not American, so. It's happening to Barca. They capped at 200 million. Yeah, but that's only because the bankers have walked in and imposed it on them. But the bankers have walked into Barca and imposed a salary cap on Barcelona. But the point you made earlier was, do you think there'll be regulation and salary caps by, say, the Premier League, like a governing body? And I don't think that will ever happen. There's a difference between, because the administrators are probably coming in next, aren't they? They're probably shredding documents as we speak over in Barcelona, because I don't know what they're doing. Nobody does. But I mean, we're going to cover Barcelona a lot in the next few streams. I think we're going to cover some of these. Maybe we'll cover some more important questions, like we're talking there about the salary cap, rather than more transfer gossip. But I enjoy the transfer gossip so much. Being on Twitter, reading all the nonsense, people arguing with each other. Yeah, it's brilliant. It's so funny. And, you know, like you see the Man United fans today, as if a lot of them are like goldfish. Like they whinge about, you know, I mean, today they're like, yes, it's amazing, we've done so well. The Glazers have finally, and Woodward's finally done the job. And it's like, what? A couple of good transfers for 16 years of what they've been doing. You know, very manipulative people, the Glazers, clearly. What else are we saying? I fully agree. Oh, wait, I need to go up. Yeah, fine at the big clubs, but what about the rest of the football associations? We need to keep the whole thing strong and competitive for the fans. I mean, I don't know about out in Europe, but in England, there's a lot of clubs. We spoke about this last time. There's a lot of clubs with financial problems. It's because, I mean, it is probably because of the wages. You're probably right. Because they just get overstretched, don't they? They're spending a lot of their money that they're making on paying their players. Because the players are like the stars. They're the entertainers, aren't they? They're the ones that people are turning up to the stadium to watch. They're the ones that are going to win them the league or the cup. They're the ones that get all the money. Yeah, and laws to help fans buy clubs will come in. Maybe. What you mean, like in Germany? Maybe, but that will need the government to step in, and the government don't care Let's be honest. I remember when the European Super League came out, and even the government were Boris Johnson and the Home Secretary. They were all saying bad things about it, but they only do that to be. They were only coming out because they know it's very politically popular, right? Support fans owning their own clubs. They weigh this up in their head. They don't actually care. They just do it because it's politically popular. And it wouldn't surprise me if they do that, actually, because it'll win them votes, and that's all what they care about at the end of the day. Sorry to sound so cynical. Relegation is a killer, yeah, definitely in the Premier League. Well, it's not that bad anymore, is it? Because they get all these parachute payments. When they can't get back up a few years later, that's when it's a killer. Like Sunderland. I don't know how Sunderland's still even solvent. They got relegated again, didn't they? Twice. Don't get the government involved. Yeah, but you have to, don't you, if you want to go do salary caps and regulate all of the football. You have to get the government involved. Who else has got the authority to do it? No one else has got the authority to do it. That's when, when FIFA got done, all of the officials got done for corruption. The only reason why anything happened is because the US government charged the officials. Who else has got the authority to take on FIFA? No one. No one. So the government have to get involved if you want to do regulations and salary caps. No one's got the authority. But maybe we'll talk about this subject again next time. It's a very interesting one because we are seeing teams being ripped apart. Government never solve anything and spend more money than everyone. Well, I think we got a libertarian here in the chat. Yeah, maybe perhaps, but I mean, I'm replying to Kemi Tyber's point about the regulation and the salary cap. The only governing body that could do it is the government. No one else could do it. Premier League wouldn't be able to do it. They haven't got the power. They haven't got wouldn't be able to do it, I don't think. Maybe they could. I don't know. But I think we'll speak about this next time. We'll talk about wage caps because there's a lot of clubs that are being ruined, even smaller clubs. I remember Bury in England. I think they've went into insolvency. It's the smaller clubs that I worry about more than Barca, because Barca are still going to be fine by the end of the day. They might have a decade of not winning the league or the Champions League, but they'll eventually bounce back. It's them smaller clubs that are just the only people that go there. They don't have international fans. They're just local clubs, the local community, and they're being run into the ground. That's the more worse story than worse. That story is not as good as the Barcelona story. I think, as I say, Barcelona will recover, but clubs like Bury or even Wigan, I don't know what's going on with them. I'll have a look into that next time. What's the situation with Wigan? These are the clubs and the fans that I feel bad for. Anyway, so I thank all of you for watching today's stream. Who want to follow, do follow us on the Twitch. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We're going to start the Instagram soon. So it's at James Rich Show on all the platforms. Thanks for watching us. Next time, I think we'll get into this debate. This is a very interesting debate, I think, about regulations of salary caps, what's going on with Barca. I think we'll keep you updated with what's going on with Barca because I think one day something's going to happen. They're going to have 10 players that are just going to leave in one day, and it'll be quite interesting. But anyway, thanks everyone. Have a nice evening, and we'll see you on Thursday at 8 o'clock BST for the next stream. Thank you.